Hello, my name is Abigail Richardson-Schulte, and I'm composer in residence with the HPO. And we have a fabulous Composer Fellowship program, and I'd like to introduce Maria Eduarda Mendes Martins. She has written a new piece for the HPO called Echoing Mendelssohn, and right now we've just finished the dress rehearsal. We're about to go into the concert this evening, and it's all very, very exciting. So Maria Eduarda, let's get to know you a little bit. Can you tell me where you're from?
Originally, I'm from Brazil. I was born there, and I came here to Canada to do a master's degree in music composition, and I immigrated, and I stayed here.
Okay, and how did you find your way into music?
That's a long story. I didn't grow up with music in my family, but at around my adolescence, I just felt a strong necessity of playing an instrument, learning music. And because it was something so personal, my parents said that they would give me a keyboard if I learned to play without having music lessons. So I took up on the challenge. And as I tried to learn it on my own, I realized that I could compose as well, that the things that I was playing, I could create what I was playing. The sequences of chords and everything, and I never went back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I started out on piano and right away started learning, hey, I can compose, and I think that's pretty natural for pianists because we can make melody and harmony all at the same time. So how did you get from that stage? I guess you were a teenager when you started playing.
Yes.
How do you go from being self-taught to just a couple of years later going to university in music?
Well, as I was composing these little melodies, these little pieces of music, I realized that I didn't have a way of recording them or of notating them. So after a few months, my mother and I had a discussion about it, and she said, I'll pay music lessons for you for a few months so that you can learn how to write, and that will be it. And as I started taking piano lessons when I was 16, my music teachers kept pushing me, asking me to keep going, and then next year I was in university studying composition. So
I see. So at that point, were you still taking piano? Did you take piano lessons in university?
I couldn't actually, because my program was organized in such a way that the composition was seen as an instrument. So I wasn't able to take composition and piano at the same time.
That's interesting. See, here in our music schools, we have a couple of years of mandatory performance for all composers as well. So it forces us to get a little bit better. So did you have an opportunity to go back and study piano more after that point?
On my own, yes. Sometimes when I have to compose a specific piece for piano, I use the instrument, or sometimes when I have to conduct and learn the piece, I use the instrument as well. Or when I have time, like during the pandemic, I tackled some very difficult piano pieces because I knew I would have the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're in Brazil. How do you find out about what's going on in Canada? Why do you end up going to Victoria, of all places?
Yes, I did my master's at University of Victoria. That's because one of the teachers there, he went to a music festival in Brazil, which I sent a piece of my own to be performed there. It was a selection, so my piece was not selected. But a month or so after the festival had happened, I received this email from this teacher talking about the University of Victoria and its programs and goals and aims. And I thought it had to do with my graduation piece from my undergrad. I had just finished composing it. It was a completely electroacoustic work, an electroacoustic mass. Which is basically the mass that we hear when we go to the church on Sundays, but with electroacoustic sound.
Different.
Yeah. Well, after hearing this piece, he helped me applying and helped me attending, going to school in Victoria.
I see. Interesting. So you may not realize at home, but a lot of what we do as composers is applying to competitions and programs like the one Maria Eduarda applied to here with us at the HPO. And even if you don't get selected, as she says, that sometimes leads to things. So we spend a lot of our time sort of building up profile and spreading our reputation in the hopes that something will come of it. So I guess in this case, something came of it and you ended up in Canada.
Exactly.
Now, how about from there to Toronto? How did that happen?
That was a bit of a pandemic story. I was working in Victoria, after I graduated. I built a life there. I got married. I got involved with the music scene. And before the pandemic, I was working with an orchestra in Victoria. And I was working in the outreach and education department, organizing concerts and doing some development as well. But unfortunately, I had to be laid off because of the pandemic.
Which was very hard on music organizations, so
Very
that's
much
understandable.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yes. And I was upset and worried about what I was going to do. Some people suggested that I would stick around and maybe be in touch with the symphony to see if I could get my job back once things got back to normal. But the truth is, after finishing my master's, I always wanted to do a doctorate degree, continue my graduate studies. I just didn't do it because, life happened.
So when life paused, that was the opportunity. Well, that's great.
Right.
That's something very positive to come out of all of this. I'm glad to hear this.
That's good.
Now, maybe you can tell me a little bit about this experience you've had with us at the HPO. You're just getting started here. We asked Maria Eduarda to join us in the fall, and then right away said, we'd like you to write a piece for our March concert, which was very, very quick. So thank you for getting the turnaround on that done quite quickly. We're hearing the piece tonight. But yeah, tell us a little bit about what this program has meant for you.
It has meant so much. It has been teaching me how to work professionally with an orchestra in the day-to-day details on from how to prepare the big score for the conductor, but also how to prepare each individual part of the score for each individual musician. And that's such a hard, rewarding, but also very long work. It doesn't matter how many times we revise each part, there's always something that we forget. So it's also good to give it to a second pair of eyes, to proofread and things like that. It's a very meticulous work. I have been learning a lot from you as well about the backstage work, about live streaming. An orchestra, for example, Gemma is amazing to work with. She's so thoughtful and she pays so much attention to the details of the score, which my music really gain from.
Mm-hmm. Have there been any surprises in hearing your work come to life with the orchestra?
Yes. I think the biggest surprise I can think of right now was how quickly they put it together. Yeah. Gemma and I, we sent some emails back and forth, and I sent some points about what to look for during the rehearsal. That would be our second rehearsal, would have been our second rehearsal. And after that, the musicians put it together, this 5-minute piece, in like 15 minutes. And it's full of details. It has many things happening at once. So it's not an easy work, I think, to put together so quickly. That was really surprising.
Mm-hmm. But you also got a lot of rehearsal time. So what you might not realize is that a 5-minute piece might have, say, 20 minutes of rehearsal only before getting on stage. That's it. But luckily, as part of this program, we're able to give Maria Eduarda quite a lot of time with the orchestra so she can hear and, change little things and tweak them. And that's part of this whole process. Well, thanks for joining me today, and good luck tonight. You'll be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.